So, Granny here. 93 everybody. What is Plato's big lie? What am I so pissed off about right now? Because seriously, man, I've been reading Plato all day and it's been pissing me off. So why? I could say a million things right now and they would all be true, but I'm going to focus on this one aspect, which is the fallacy of the Platonic dialogue, which is complete horse shit. As far as I'm concerned, Plato is the biggest hypocrite in philosophy. And the reason is this, and it's pretty simple. Plato presents these arguments with Socrates and his followers as though they're real arguments, and they're not. Pretty much what you see is people agreeing with Socrates as far as everything that they say, and there's no real contradiction. What people don't understand about the whole concept of the Socratic method, and the Socratic method is based on the idea that we have questions and we ask these questions and they're answered, and the true route to philosophy is to ask questions and not to try to come up with answers, but to question the answers and blah 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 blah. It's all fucking bullshit, because Plato writes the answer and the question. It's not a real dialogue if the same person writes both sides of the argument. It's pretty simple. And in fact, when you read Plato, essentially what you're getting is not two sides of a story, which is what he tries to present itself as, but what you're getting is one side of a story where there's a person who seems to disagree with the main character. However, if you look at it closely, because of the fact that they're both being written by the same person, the argument and the opposing argument, and one side is destined to lose because the person who's asking the question, which aren't really questions, really is basically saying, well, here's my position, I'm not willing to take a stand, I'm not willing to say something as though it was true. I'm going to ask it as though it's a question, but it's a completely rhetorical question because the person that I'm asking it to is just going to agree with the person who's responding to it. Like, the amount of space that he wastes with just people agreeing with Socrates is shameful and ludicrous. And yeah, it makes me really mad. I read two Platonic dialogues today, and they both led me to the same conclusion, that Plato is a fucking idiot. And it's not just the content. I mean, I could go into great detail as to why I think the content of those dialogues is stupid, but it's more the format of those dialogues that pisses me off. Just because they are presented in the context of someone asking questions, and yet the person writing them is asking the questions and writing the answer at the same time. So it's not actually a dialogue, it's a monologue that's presented in the form of questioning, which is a piss-off if you actually care about knowledge in any way, shape, or form. I don't have much more to say other than that. I have a lot to say. It's just that it would be endless and pointless. Like, the whole point is that Plato was a fucking hypocrite and an asshole, and I hate him. And I didn't remember how much I hated him until I read a couple of his dialogues today, and then it just, you ever watch a sitcom that really wasn't very funny, and yet you laugh because they have a laugh track, and so you hear other people laughing, so you think that it's funny? That's pretty much what Plato does. Socrates doesn't make good points. He doesn't make logical arguments. He doesn't make anything that even makes fucking sense. And yet, lots of people get drawn in by these arguments because if you read the Platonic dialogues, basically Socrates will make points and Plato will write someone else chiming in saying, "Oh yes, you're completely right, Socrates. Oh yes, this point is totally true, Socrates. Blah 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 blah." That's not a real argument. That's just rhetoric that's completely useless, completely stupid, and completely wrong on every conceivable level. That's why I wrote my Facebook status today that I had to wash my brain clean of Plato by reading Nietzsche. Because Nietzsche, in Beyond Good and Evil, rips Plato a new one. And good for him, because Plato is fucking stupid. And his entire philosophy is based on the idea that we're just going to agree with whatever we hear. It makes me incredibly angry. It makes me incredibly... I'm only looking for a synonym for angry right now.